All right, so this is Treaty of Versailles. First question is matching the countries to their World War I leaders. Okay. In January 1919, 70 delegates representing the 27 Allied nations met outside of Paris at Versailles to draft peace terms. None of the nations known as the Central Powers were invited. So no Germany, no Ottoman Empire, no Austria-Hungary. Russia, which had dropped out of the war in 1917, was not invited either. So basically they were like, you left, so sucks for you. You don't get to be here. Although each of the Allied nations was represented, all major decisions were made by a group known as the Big Four. This group included President Woodrow Wilson of the United States. So let's go down. So United States is Woodrow Wilson. Prime Minister David Lloyd George of Great Britain. Premier Georges Clemenceau of France. Oh, fancy name. Clemenceau. Which leaves us with Vittorio Orlando. Which, I mean, if you look at this, I mean, this is totally legit Italian name. And this also just automatically sounds French. If you see this like E-A-U, it's probably either French or based in French. Beauty, the word beauty. All right. I'll put this in here. So all right. Why was Clemenceau particularly determined to punish Germany? All right. And here is the kind of numbers. So World War I went from 1914 to 1918. These are the Allied casualties. So here's the number of dead. So if you look at France, 1,357,800. And Russia too, 1,700,000. So yeah. And even United Kingdom is 908. Oh my goodness, 908,371. And if we look at the wounded, it's also, and I mean, it makes sense. They were the three that were there in the beginning. They were the three attacked and doing the attacking first. And they were closest to where all of the fighting happened. And so then you've got total and then the percentage. So you see France has like 73, Russia 76, so forth. All right. From the start of the conference, it was obvious that Prime Minister George Premier Orlando and Premier Clemenceau wished to severely punish Germany. Clemenceau was particularly enraged. France had lost 50% of its male population between the ages of 20 and 32, and many of its cities, farms, and forests had been destroyed. Clemenceau blamed Germany for this destruction. What do I mean? All right. So Clemenceau hated the lead of Germany? No. Clemenceau was bipolar? No. Clemenceau lost his family in a bombing in World War I. Clemenceau blamed Germany for the destruction of its country. There we go. It's this one. Hitler would use the blaming of Germany for starting World War I to rise to power. All right. The peace agreement drawn up for Germany to sign was called the Treaty of Versailles. Its terms were harsh. According to the treaty, Germany, and this is just a little snippet of it, was required to give up territory to France to a newly formed Poland. So Germany's here, Poland's over here, so they had all of this. And this. And Austria's down here, so I mean, yeah, that's the law land. Was stripped of its overseas colonies in Africa and the Pacific. Was forced to limit its army to a reserve of 100,000 men. That's like literally nothing. Like 100,000 is nothing. Was required to accept responsibility for starting the war. This clause infuriated the Germans and aided Adolf Hitler in his rise to power 14 years later. So this is kind of like one of the easiest points for him to talk about is this didn't even start with us. It started with Serbia and Austria-Hungary and what in the world? And they attacked Austria-Hungary. So this was such an easy point, and it was so accurate that you couldn't say... So even though you're seeing the crazy person up there talking about it, you're like, well, I mean, he's right. It kind of is exactly like what happened. So true on number 3. He would absolutely use it. And yeah. Nobody likes to be blamed for something they didn't do. And imagine if I blamed somebody outright, but I knew who started it. So let's say 2 people got in like a fist fight. And then like one other person kind of, well, 2 people started it. One person from the other side goes in. Then the other person goes in to try to help the person who's in there alone. And then that one person gets sent to the office and suspended, but nobody else gets sent to the office and suspended. And they blame you for starting it. All right. Members from the Central Powers were present for the meeting in Versailles. Separate treaties were signed by Germany's allies, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. With the signing of the treaties, World War I officially came to an end. So here are some of the other stuff. Germany lost all her colonies. So the answer is false to number 4. Germany lost all her colonies. North Schleswig given to Denmark. So up here. Danzig, a free city run by the League of Nations. Ooh, that's where my grandpa was born. Poland was given a corridor to the Baltic Sea, cutting off East Prussia from Germany. So this is kind of like what they needed to be able to get to the sea. Posen, rich farmland given to Poland. New government met here, so Germany was called the Weimar Republic. Demilitarized zones, so no military was allowed in here, which is kind of the border ish. Eupen and Malmedy given to Belgium. To France, which had lost its land to Germany, they get Alsace-Lorraine. And Germany was forbidden to unite with Austria. Oh, so our coalfields given to France for 15 years. All right. Oh, these were the casualties for these guys. So Austria-Hungary, 1,200,000 dead, 300 million, 3,620,000 wounded. Germany, 1,773,000 dead, and 4,000. So I mean, yeah. So yeah, falls on that one.